Hello, this is Live with Michelle Vann, where we talk about health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we are here with Miss Dana McCall. Woo!
Right.
Welcome, Dana.
Thank you, Michelle.
She is
Thank
the
you.
owner and the proprietor of Legacy of Nagasi.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk today with Dana about writing some books, especially some children's books. Woo!
Yes. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Hey, Dana, tell the people who you are, what you're doing, how'd you get to Wichita, what's going on?
All right. I'll give you my pitch first, right? So there's a literacy crisis in America, right? 66% of all fourth graders across the nation are failing to read at grade level. And so, gone are those days, can we push the responsibility solely onto the educator, right? Parents, it's our responsibility to start the love of reading right at home. And so that's where I come in, right? So that your child does not fall victim to that epidemic, right? That's where I come in. I create games, books, and toys that speak to the 5 components of literacy. That's comprehension, fluency, phonics, phonological awareness, and vocabulary. And so the goal is to hide learning in fun, right? And so the first part of that was books. Comprehension, of course, that speaks to comprehension. That's my first product that everybody knows about me right now. And so I'm a Wichita native, born and raised. That's how I got here. I joined the military and got out after I was medically retired. I said I was never coming back here, but God has his, listen, when you want to see God laugh, you tell him what you have planned, right?
Right.
So he set me on this path and I ended up back here. And when I got here, I said I was going to go teach. I said that when I got out of the military, that I was going to go be a teacher. Well, then the pandemic took place and then that kind of shifted my path again. So I started, I took on, with my family. They started coming into my home during the shutdown and I was teaching them there. And so that led to my Read Bro Club where, it is a reading, a literacy program that focuses on reading, making sure children can read, will read, and then that they do read, right? Give them incentives to it and make it fun again, right? Um, then that led to me writing, right? My son, we're a reading family. My middle son actually is the one who really encouraged this thing, right? We were reading at night before he goes to bed, and then he was tired of them. He was like, Mom, you tell me a story. And so I started telling him stories, and he wanted them more and more. And then I was like, well, sure enough, if he loves them like this, maybe I have something. Because he's one of those ones, if he don't like it, he's going to tell you. And so that's how I got started. My husband actually gifted me with the company back in 2020. I didn't publish my first writing until 21 because I was in this phase where nothing is ever ready, right? And even though they are children's book, it was still not ready in my eyes. But I just decided, to just take that leap of faith and put it out there. And I put it out on like the day before my middle son's birthday. And shoot, the rest is history. Once I got going, I just kept doing it. And so a year later, I'm 5 books in. So I'm really excited.
Absolutely. So as you think about that whole idea that a lot of people say, hey, I'm out of Wichita. I don't want to be here. What have you found in the Wichita area that has been beneficial to you in being able to launch this journey?
My goodness, the entrepreneur community, like my goodness, Christina Long, she's got an amazing program and she's building a community of entrepreneurs right here in Wichita, with representation, right? And so that is big, urban entrepreneurship.
Right.
I am currently in her Create Campaign class, and I definitely recommend it to anybody who is, at the beginning of their journey, in the middle of it, or just thinking about it. It's definitely something I do recommend. Outside of that, my family, the support system that they provide. I mean, we have a team all by ourselves with all my cousins and everything. But my goal is not to use them as, my main customer, right? They're not my
Right.
customer.
But,
They're my support. So, right now they have been, my goodness, very supportive in every step of the way. If I plan an event, I can guarantee you at least 50 kids are going to show up. That's a guarantee. Outside of that, it's just been so much fun just to be back home in my own stomping grounds. It is not at all like I imagined that it would be. When I left here, I was in refuge. I was running. I didn't want to be here anymore, right?
right.
But when I came back, I'm a grown up, I am in charge of my own destiny, right? So, listen, it's so much different than I imagined. The community is amazing. I'm looking forward to the Juneteenth that's coming up. So I'm just excited just to be back home because God meant for me to do this right here. So I'm glad.
And so we appreciate that because when we think about the plan of God, when we think about what's supposed to happen, when we say yes to that plan, the doors that we need to have open will open.
Oh my goodness.
So we will be right back with Dana McCall.
Thank you, guys.
A Women's Health and Vendor Fair, a community service project of Beta Kappa Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, My Sister's Keeper. A women's virtual health panel discussion, Friday, June 24th at 7 p.m. This will take place on Facebook Live at ICT, aka or Sisters Can We Talk. The topics will be breast cancer, mental health, and caregiving. One of the things that we know is over the pandemic, many women were not able to see doctors and have appointments like they should have. And so breast cancer, mental health, and that ability to have to caregive have all been escalated. So we just want to have a Sisters Can We Talk, Sisters Keepers conversation. Again, join us Friday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Facebook Live, ICT, aka, or Sisters Can We Talk.
All right. Hello, this is Live with Michelle Vann. We talk about health, wealth, and spirituality. We are here. We're talking to Miss Dana McCall. We have been talking about just her start, her entrepreneur journey, but also that journey of just beginning to write and why she was writing stories. So you were talking, when we ended the last segment, we were talking about the whole idea that when God orchestrates who we are and what we're supposed to do, he opens the doors. He makes provision for that to happen. And so you said that you really got started, you really got going because your son liked the stories that you were telling him. Why do you think it's so important for especially our African-American young men, but brown kids, whether they're Black or Hispanic, to see representation in the stories that they read? Why is that so important? Because people will say, oh, it doesn't matter. A book is a book.
Oh, no. It absolutely matters, right? Like, for example, growing up, representation in books it was not that common. In fact, I found myself drawn to books like the Bernstein Bears, an author, right? And I didn't know what I was doing, but I realized that I was drawn to those characters because they were brown. Oh my goodness, right? That was big. But with Black boys, they're we're starting to get it right, right? As time goes on, as time moved on, they're starting to, you can go to any bookstore and you can see a brown girl in a book about her hair, about her
Sure.
beauty. But outside of gangs, violence, poverty, or sports, you don't hardly see the brown boy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I speak to, is just I want to put a product out that shows brown boys in an environment with just existing, right? Because at the end of the day, the narrative that has been put out about the brown boy is that they are dangerous, is that they're the only quality that they have is their athleticism. But their hands are more, we are more than athletes, right? And
Right.
so I raise my boys, I mean, they play sports, but listen, we're student athletes, right? That is
Student first.
Yes, that's right. And in our community, I found that, our parents in the community, we raise our boys, we push and we push and we push sports, right? But what happens is once they get to a stage in high school, only 1% of that number is going to make it to the next level. And then after
Absolutely.
that, a smaller percent is going to make it into the professionals, right? So
Absolutely.
then we run into an identity crisis, right? Mom, you told me that I was about, I'm an athlete, and that's what I was supposed to do. So we got to get out of just sports and listen. They are doctors and lawyers, and
Absolutely.
they are welders or whatever. Their hands are meant to make this world work, and that's
Yeah.
what I would like for us to continue to push.
So as we think about that, we think about the fact that we are more than just athletes. We are more than just the sports that we play. How do we really get our kids excited about the adventures that can happen by reading?
Oh my goodness. So you find something that speaks to their gift, right? We were all given a gift. God gave each of us something special, that's different than everybody else, right? So I'll talk about my boys. My oldest son, he likes math, right? So, when he was younger, we were looking into architecture and engineering and just things that he could do with that, right? And then my middle son, he likes cars. And so we look for books and things that speak to cars or things of that nature, or just showing them inside the book. Because listen, when you see yourself represented in a book, my God, that's what matters. Okay, this speaks to me culturally, and guess what? It looks like me. So this
Right.
could be me, right? So that's how we do it, is continue to put those products out of boys that look like them and speak to them in their language, right? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So when we think about that, we think about people, our mind, body, and spirit.
Mhm.
So while we are speaking to maybe what they're thinking intellectually, we're also speaking to their spirit in a way that they may not even understand.
Yes, yes, yes. You know what? I was working with Seeds of Life, actually today again. And as the boys, as they all file out, I asked them what they want to be. And of course, most of the boys, oh, I want to go to the NFL. I want to go to the NBA. And I said, okay, that's all well and good. But outside of that, what are we going to do? And then that's when you speak to who they are. I had one of them would like to be a mechanic. Somebody wanted to be a pediatrician. Somebody like to speak to people and they feel like they can evaluate people. They want to do psychology, just
That's
a lot of things, right? But if we don't speak to those things and ask them, okay, outside of this, what are you going to do? Because
right.
honestly, they're just one decision away or one injury away from that not even being an option for them. So let's go. We got to feed them something else. Just speak to who they could be if they just give themselves a chance.
Absolutely. This is Live with Michelle Vann. We're talking to Dana McCall, and we'll be right back. Dana,
Yes.
hang on just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Join Miss Dana McCall on Saturday, June 18th, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. at McAdams Park. She will be sharing the legacy of Nagasi, where she will have books and other paraphernalia for you and your children.
Dana McCall is a self-published author and educator. She has books like These Hugs Are My Hugs and Good Day. Make sure that you see Miss Dana out at the McAdams Park Saturday, June 18th, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. are the times of Juneteenth, but please check the schedule for her actual time of being in the Children's Corner.
We have been talking to Miss Dana McCall. This is Live with Michelle Vann. And we have been talking about how do we use literature and fabulous stories to really encapsulate and intrigue our young men specifically, but also our young ladies, and get them to see that there is adventure in reading. There is excitement in reading. I know that a lot of kids, because they are so enamored with games,
Yes.
that they don't see the beauty of being able to just sit down and read a book.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the truth. That's it. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, you just gotta find that excitement in them, find out who they are. You gotta know who they are, and find the things that speak to them, their circumstances. Like a lot of my books, Michelle, they speak to like their feelings, like, right? When we were growing up, we didn't really have a voice, right? We
No.
kind of did what we were told because the grown-ups said to do it, right? And but I kind of give them a voice, right? With my oldest son, I kind of followed the rules that I kind of, mirrored my parental guidance off of how I was brought up or what I thought was pretty much right and wrong. And I was more of a dictator, I will say, right? I got it a little wrong. But with my middle child, he began to open my eyes, right? And I'm going to speak to him a lot because a lot of my books are really written in his, like from his point of view, like how he sees the world, right? And I kind of let him lead me in my parenting, right? Off of his, what he would think or how he would feel about a certain situation. A lot of them, once you start, just you can relate basically to what they're going through. That's when I think we have something.
So as I heard you earlier say that you were working with some kids this summer, doing some writing. Tell me a little bit about that. Why do you think that is important? I know that when we think about, a lot of times we worry about literacy. We worry about that being able to read, being able to comprehend what they've read.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that we notice in the workforce is that a lot of employers are saying, we have these people, they can read, but they can't write.
Oh my goodness. That's
So
part of the comprehension.
That's so important.
Yeah, Michelle, that's part of comprehension, really, honestly. If I can put down my thoughts onto a piece of paper, right? Or if somebody is relaying a message to me and I can take that information and I can put it down on a piece of paper and I can give you the meat of that encounter, then that is comprehension, right? That speaks to comprehension, whether I read it or not, right? So this Seeds of Life and the Launchpad project was actually, I run into a lot of people that say, oh yeah, I want to write a book, right? There's a lot of children that would like to write a book, right? Their minds are so untainted with the world, right? And so sometimes as adults, we can overthink things. Whereas we overthink things. Whereas a child, they can see the simplicity in a lot of things. And so the project, what I meant to do, so we had a subject, and I don't want to give the whole thing away, but
Absolutely.
they all got the theme, and then I gave them all a writing prompt. All right. So in your own words, define what that means. So they did that. So hey, if you were explaining this to a 5-year-old, what would you say? What would you say this meant, right? Because that's it. Because a lot of times, even as adults, we use these $1 million words when we're talking to people and they don't understand what we're saying to them, right? And so then I I use a reference. Before you give an argument, you need to be able to give me some support, right? All right, so I want you to give me some reference from whatever source you're using and tell me why you feel this way. They give me the reference and then they give me their argument. And that's how we laid it out. And when I tell you, they blew my mind. The things that they came up with, my goodness, because it's really important. Like you said, it speaks to comprehension to be able to write.
Yeah. So when we think about that whole idea that kids are a lot brighter than we think they are, they're a lot more observant. They're a lot more intuitive than what we really believe. So how do you see writing being a absolute godsend during some of the times that we're seeing right now? We have so many things that are happening in our world, shootings, just random things, people being out of school. I know that a lot of parents were kind of having some issues with their kiddos being uber upset this year that school was over, because this is the first time they've kind of been back with their friends.
Yes.
And so how do we use writing, or what are the ways in which we can use writing to really engage kids in processing those feelings? Because you said, hey, I'm having them talk about their feelings, but how do we give them the words and that processing to really look at those feelings?
Right. So in my home, like the vocabulary building is important, right? So a word of the day, right? So introduce a word of the day to introduce them to different words that they can express themselves. But writing as a tool for mental health, right? There are things that you just can't say out loud. Some people just don't feel like saying out loud, right? Or there are things that, maybe, if I say this out loud, I'm gonna get in trouble. My mom is gonna, tan my hide, right?
Right.
It's their safe place. So journaling is very important for kids. Whether it's like, okay, start your day with like 5 minutes, and whatever you're feeling, write it down. The kids are scared about going to school because of the school shootings. The children are scared to be outside because of the gang violence. Children are notice, family members who are on drugs, they notice that. They realize how it's affecting their other cousins. Even, the children that are directly affected by it are bullying others, right? Because hurt children, right? That's just how that works. And then it's just an outlet, right? So it's very important. There was always a stigma behind, as I grew up around in my world, right? There was a stigma behind boys journaling. They equated it to a diary. Like,
Right.
Your boys don't have diaries. Oh no, it's not a diary, it's a journal. And it is important that you write your thoughts down so that you can digress and get it out of your head, because you have to put that stuff somewhere, right?
A Women's Health and Vendor Fair, sponsored by Sisters Can We Talk, Maggie's Travel, and more, the Center, the Women's Project of Kansas, and Diagnostic Imaging Center. It is also a community service project of Beta Kappa Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. My Sister's Keeper, a Women's Health and Vendor Day, Saturday, July 9th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Center, 1914 East 11th, Building B. There will be medical information stations as well as merchants to provide you with some retail therapy. Again, on Saturday, July 9th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Center, 1914 East 11th, Building B. This will be a fun time with various information stations and merchants for your retail therapy. If you would like to schedule a mammogram, please call Audrey at 316-337-6047. And am I my sister's keeper? Oh, yes, I am.
Right.
And we need it not to be in your aggressive behavior.
Right. That is absolutely right, Michelle.
So as we look at that, as we look at writing as a tool, writing as a mental health tool, journaling as a mental health tool, being able to express our feelings, and maybe even having a list of, because that's, you said, a word of the day, or even having a list of words that are feelings, maybe sitting down and exploring and saying, hey, let's think of all the words, and let's even look up all the words that we can find out about all the feelings that we might have. And we just start creating, words, a word list of happy feelings, of sad feelings, of these are all the words that mean those things, so that as we go back and we're writing about our feelings, we actually have words that we can relate to those feelings.
Yeah. And you know what? I found that once a kid learns a new word that, it shocks them. Like the word anthology, let me tell you, they were dropping that word. It just sounded big. And so, they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, what is it? Oh, it's a collection of, writing from a group of writers. All right. You give them a word, they're excited to use it because they know not a lot of children their age can even understand it or even knows what it is.
So. Oh, absolutely. I used to, that was my whole goal when I taught 8th grade, was to teach them new words so that they could tell their friends off in ways in which their friends didn't even know they were being told.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I said, I need you to use some 50-cent words, dollar words, these penny words that y'all are using.
I love it. I
need your vocabulary to be escalated to a place in which you can just tell your friends off, and they're like, did you tell me?
And they don't even know.
Yeah. I said, I need you to be able to escalate and they'll be like, oh, that's so cool. And I think that's the power of words, and that's the power of being able to use that language. So where can people find your books? Where do they go? What do they need to be looking at?
Okay, absolutely. Well, before I tell you where to find them, let me tell you what they are, right?
Okay.
So the first one, my debut, is These Hugs. I don't know, can you see that?
It's kind of, because you're blurred, so I can see.
There we go.
Oh, there you go, right there, yeah.
All right, so These Hugs Are My Hugs. In this story, it is about body autonomy. So, I teach children that they are the absolute owners of their personal space. Regardless of who the person is or what relation they are to them, there are other ways to greet loved ones outside of a hug, and choosing something else is not rude or disrespectful. And that's one of those messages from when we, were growing up. If we don't know Uncle Joe and Mama said, go hug Uncle Joe. Yeah, we were going to go move, right? And so Good Day, this is actually my bestseller. In this story, it sends a message of resilience. In this story, a little boy, he wakes up in the morning, and the first thing he tells himself is, today is a good day to have a good day. And he goes through life throughout the story, my God. But with every obstacle, he stops, he deals with it, and then he moves on with the idea that there is still an opportunity out there for his day to go well. And that is my bestseller. And when I go out, I sell out of that one all the time. So I have to increase my inventory for my vendor events with that one, definitely. Holiday Game Night is my holiday story. In this story, the message is presents versus presents, right? I'm trying to pull kids out of the idea that, Christmas is about spending all of your money and receiving gifts. But back to its organics, it's about family, it's about love. I don't mention religion because it's the family responsibility to impart their own belief system, right? Absolutely. So it's about an experience, right? About different crazy personalities that we all have in all of our families that somehow come together and make the family work. Bagheera Sid is the first of a series of books to come, and it's written for, I say, 8 to 11-year-olds. It's written in ways that not to overwhelm the reader that's just trying to jump into chapter books, right? And so in this story, it's a family, they receive a new dog. And in receiving this dog, everybody is trying to assert their authority over the puppy. And so the dog runs into nepotism, he runs into quid pro quo, he runs into absolute power because I control your food and you have to do what I say, and he runs into natural power. But the point is in Bagheera Sit is that we don't get to control our leaders. We don't get to pick them. We don't get to pick our teachers. We don't get to pick our parents. We don't get to pick our bosses. The point is we have to learn what it is that they are teaching so as to make the encounter less stressful, right? And My final book, and I just released this one at the beginning, well, the end of last month, so May 29th, All Mixed Up. Oh my goodness. If you have children, or if you're one of a set of children, you can speak to calling one of your children the other child's name.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, right? We've done it, and our parents did it to us. And really, it's a scientific thing. It's a cognitive reflex, and it's called the misnaming phenomenon. And in this story, just a little boy, he goes through it, and he's on a whirlwind because he's like, why do I have to keep telling everybody this? You should know my name, right? But then once he does the research, he opens up his confirmation bias, right? And confirmation.
Hold on just a second. Keep talking.
All right, no problem. Yeah, and confirmation bias is basically, once you give light to something, right, you start seeing it everywhere, regardless of the fact that it was always there, right? And you never just noticed it. And so that's what it all mixed up about. It was a lot of fun to write, but it's totally relatable. All my books are on Amazon. You can purchase all of them there, but I do have a website. And my website is www.legacyofnegasi.com. And Negasi is spelled Negasi, right? Legacy of Negasi.
And we'll post that on
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. We are so glad you were here with us today. I'm sad that our time is up, but it goes really quick.